everybody. Welcome back to Thread Manchester. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. This is another positive one. So another victory for Manchester United, this time at home to Leicester City. A 3-0 win. Really, really nice to get another 3 points. We're back today with another video. As I said, we're bringing out the content for you guys right now. We're really working hard, doing analysis from every game we can. So it's really, really exciting at the moment. You know, last year was tough in terms of content. It was, I wasn't looking forward to making the content, but this year it's just so much more positive. So yes, guys, really, really happy to be back. Thanks for your continued support. By the way, we've really, really grown on YouTube already. I think we've got to 1.4K now, and that's just unbelievable considering it was about 700 a couple of weeks ago. So I really, really appreciate all the support, guys. So thank you so much. So let's get into it then. So this game was really, really interesting, tactically, player-wise, and we're going to go into everything today. On Twitter, I have posted more of a player-focused analysis on mainly Weghorst again, but also Victor Lindelof as well. So do check that out if you like. We're going to talk about those two players today, and we're also going to talk about some tactical elements as well. So we're going to try and cover as much as we can in the 20 minutes that we usually do, obviously. So let's just talk about the start of the game then. So obviously, I imagine everybody's watched the game. If you haven't watched it back again, I would recommend going and having another look because it's quite interesting. You do misinterpret some things and you do miss 1 or 2 chances sometimes. But in that first 25 minutes, Leicester City really could and should have been 2-0 up, right? So we know that Leicester City had many, many chances. David De Gea was very, very important to keeping Manchester United in the game. The first save, I think it might have been, I can't remember who it was, who went in on goal. It might have been Harvey Barnes. I think Iheanacho, Barnes, Maddison, they all had massive chances. And then it was Iheanacho's header, I think, at the back post. And then De Gea saved again. He almost scooped the ball off the line with another brilliant, brilliant save. So David De Gea showed his worth in terms of key saves in that first 25 minutes. And we can analyse how good Manchester United have been, blah, blah, blah. We can analyse all that, but you have to just say that first 25 minutes, Leicester City were on top. They were the better side, and they should have been 1 or 2-0 up comfortably, right? So why was that the case? Well, Manchester United, we know we've got problems in our build-up. We were making sloppy passes. We know without Casemiro, we haven't got that replacement for Casemiro when he isn't available. In terms of the positioning in that area. So we know Fred and Sabitzer are more... Sabitzer actually has played at number 6 for Leipzig before, but I think he often played in a double pivot there. And also, I think he often played in front of like a back 3. So it's slightly different if you play that position in front of a back 3 instead of in front of a back 4. So I think Sabitzer, I think he does have some... We saw his attributes in terms of he does have some press resistance, so he can stay resistant from press. He can hold on to the ball quite well. We saw that a couple of times, but he's not the most press resistant player, so he's not the ideal profile to play just in front of our centre halves to receive possession under pressure, right? And I think Manchester United, we often brought Sabitzer to sort of the right centre back area and push Dalot on and push Shaw on, and to try and get a little bit more more numerical superiority in our build-up, but we just couldn't really build through Leicester. We just struggled again. So what we did often was we obviously tried to find Weghorst a little bit longer, and although Weghorst maybe doesn't win as many aerial duels as you'd expect for a 6'6" player, he at least causes a bit of havoc, right? So in the first half, I remember he went up for a duel with Wout Faes. Wout Faes won the header, but the ball, because of Wout Weghorst's strength and physicality, the ball, he managed to sort of protect the ball when it fell down and then pass it on to, I think it was Bruno. So even if Wout Weghorst wasn't winning the initial header, at least if we do play that ball a little bit longer into Weghorst and evade that first phase of our build-up, if we play that ball slightly longer into Weghorst, we can press from there. So even if we lose possession, we can counter-press from that area. And then we can actually, if we do win possession, we can obviously counter-attack. So this is something we did against Barcelona as well. You know, if we can't beat the press in the first phase, can we switch? Can we get it to the second phase? Can we get it to the third phase? And United did that a few times. And We eventually got our goal, obviously an amazing pass from Bruno into Rashford, and Rashford with an unbelievable finish, right? And that obviously slightly changed the confidence of things, etc. But that was a key element for Manchester United. Again, we couldn't quite beat that first phase of build-up. We couldn't quite get through it. So that's just a little tactical thing I want to mention. And Leicester, we were sloppy with our passes without Casemiro in there for the protection in terms of the positioning, and also obviously missing Eriksen, who isn't really the ideal player in that second phase, but he is sort of a stopgap to put in there until we get a midfielder in the summer, right? So we know we're looking for a more comfortable midfielder in build-up in the summer, who can carry the ball forward. Obviously, Frankie de Jong is the type of profile we really could do with in there, right? So even though we did struggle with our build-up, luckily we didn't. In terms of the scoreline, it didn't show up too much. We eventually got the goal and we managed to get it. So, yeah, we were slightly lucky to go in ahead, I think, with Leicester's massive chances. But you've got to take your chances where you can, right? And you need a very good, a couple of goalkeeping saves sometimes to keep you in the game. So I want to talk about now what sort of happened in the second half. So obviously Garnacho went off. Weghorst went back to the number 9 position, and we saw Jadon Sancho come on as a number 10. With Rashford going out to the left and Bruno on that right-hand side. So we know Ten Hag likes to do that quite often. And I think what this allowed United, firstly, obviously Leicester City, they needed to sort of push up the pitch slightly higher. They needed to get back in the game. But I think that what this allowed United to do was to get Jadon Sancho and Bruno Fernandes in those sort of half spaces, combining really well. So I want to focus on how Weghorst movement and Sancho and Bruno, everything is all involved in this image. So we were already 2 up. Obviously, we got the second goal, very marginal offside decision, but Rashford obviously got it, which is brilliant. Another brilliant finish from Rashford, and Fred with a really good pass, by the way, in behind. So well done to Fred for that. But this is our third goal. So you'll see here, don't worry about the text that's just next to me. So that just says Wout Weghorst makes the run inside, in behind, and that you'll see Wout Faz. So the blue arrow you can see is pulled towards Weghorst. So again, he's taking Wout Faz out of that space, and what that actually does is that leaves the space here for Jadon Sancho. You see here, Marcus Rashford is going to play into that path for Jadon Sancho. And obviously, I can't show videos on here of the goals and things like that because I don't want to get obviously the copyright and things like that. But Sancho and Bruno obviously played the 1-2, and Sancho finishes really well with his left foot. So this goal does not happen without the run of Wout Weghorst. Yep. So without this run of Wout Weghorst, if Wout Weghorst was to come to feet, or if Wout Weghorst was to move slightly to the right-hand side, the space doesn't open up for Jadon Sancho. It just does not open up for Jadon Sancho. So this, again, tells me and tells people, or should tell people in our fan base, how important Wout Weghorst is in terms of his he occupies defenders. So that occupancy of defenders is dragging defenders out of space, making space for other players. And when Jadon Sancho is in that number 10 position, his understanding, appreciation, and intelligence of space is really good. So that is going to be a key part of, I think, not just Sancho, but I think Anthony as well, with Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho, Pellistri, whoever it may be. I think they will all benefit from Wout Weghorst. So I do think whoever it may be, they will all benefit from Wout Weghorst's movement in behind, creating space for other players. And I think this is something that gets underappreciated at times. It's all about who scores the goals, who assists the goals. Wout Weghorst indirectly and directly also scored a goal at Forest, got the assist for Garnacho's goal against Leeds. But people will think, oh, he's not getting many goals and assists, but actually indirectly he's contributing a lot. So extremely important for that third goal, that run from Wout Weghorst. This is again from Wout Weghorst. So we all know he should have scored his chance, by the way. By no means am I saying Wout Weghorst is a prolific striker, goal-scoring striker, but we actually don't need, that's not too important for us. I think he's making the team tick better. He's linking play reasonably well. And I think he's a massive part of this team at the moment. I think in the future, obviously, we'll see what happens in the striker department. Obviously, I don't expect him to be our first choice striker, but if Martial does leave and Ten Hag thinks Weghorst could be a good squad option, I'm not saying he's even second choice striker, just to put in the squad, he's going to be on the bench for most games. If Ten Hag sees that, then fair play to Ten Hag if Weghorst can keep up contributing to the team, because that's what he's doing. So again, here Weghorst wins back possession, and you'll see his body is sort of turned sideways. His body is not facing towards the play, and for what you'd expect from a 6'6" sort of awkward type player, an awkward striker, you'd expect them to not see things. We see many strikers, different types of profiles of strikers in the Premier League, and we see some of Gabriel Jesus type, the Martial type, the Roberto Firmino type, who are very, very clever and understand how to link play. Their awareness is good. We see what other players, strikers maybe like Erling Haaland, and their link-up play and their understanding of other players maybe isn't so much, so that you want them on the end of things rather than in the middle of things and in the middle of the approach play. You don't really want them to be involved in the approach play. You want them more just in the box. And I think without Weghorst, although you'd expect him to be in the option 2 that I said, so you'd think that you'd want him in the box finishing things, you actually don't. His finishing isn't that good, which is interesting. And his heading, we haven't seen him obviously in the air. He missed a great header against Reading. In the air, I think a few people have been surprised. He actually receives the ball better to feet and to his chest. What you actually want from Weghorst, you want him involved in the approach play, maybe not the last man to take the shot. And this is maybe why Erik Ten Hag, another reason why he's playing him in midfield quite often. But again, here you'll see he's got a few players around him. What he does do when there's a duel on the pitch somewhere, even if he doesn't win the duel, as I said, there's a few players you've got to make sure you get close to that Weghorst, because for an opposition player, you look at him and you think, well, he could cause us a problem. His physicality, we need to be really, really physical on him, and he's drawing bodies towards him, and that's leaving so much space. Look how much space is in behind here for Jadon Sancho, and he manages to scoop the pass around the corner into Sancho's path, and Sancho should score. I think it's saved or blocked, and then he volleys it over the bar. But this could have been another. People are saying he's not contributed directly. Really should have had an assist there. So once again, I think the dynamic for attacking players is really, really interesting with Weghorst in the team. And as I said, you wouldn't expect to want the 6'6" striker too involved in build-up. You think you'd want him in the box and you just want to put crosses in for him. But actually, he's actually a key part of our build-up play and approach play, which is really interesting. Just from a football perspective, you just wouldn't. It wouldn't fit the narrative. It wouldn't fit the normal thing to do. You know what I mean? So the normal trend. So it's really fascinating. I love things like this. That managers that do. I think I talked about this on Twitter. Managers that do unfashionable thиж. I just love it. And if it works, then oh my goodness, I'm going to love you forever. Erik Ten Hag. If you could keep making these decisions, I'd love to see it. I just love to see it. However, without Weghorst, I know this is all about Weghorst, but it's not. I'm going to bring in some tactical elements here as well. So in the first half, Iheanacho, Barnes, Maddison, they were all very, very good at dropping into pockets of space, dragging the Manchester United centre-halves out, and then looking to make those runs in behind, right? And they were extremely, extremely good at this, particularly Iheanacho, who is quite difficult to forget. He's only 26 years of age, I think, Iheanacho. So it feels like he's about 30. He feels like he's been around for about 15 years now, at various clubs. But what Iheanacho does so well is drops into pockets of space. The movement of his body, his physicality, his first touch, his dribbling, his carrying. He's a very, very good striker. His technicals are really, really good. And I said this on a show. I can't remember which show it was now, but I said this on a YouTube show, I think at the weekend, before this Leicester game. And I said Iheanacho is a big, big threat. He's not the most prolific goal scorer. He missed a couple of chances in this game, obviously. However, he will cause us a problem with his overall game, what he brings to the table in terms of his link-up play, his hold-up play. And you'll see here, Martinez, so you've got Martinez to the left of him, so Iheanacho, number 14, has the ball. He's got Martinez to the left of him and Weghorst to the right of him, right? Weghorst was obviously playing in midfield in this particular sequence, obviously, in the second half. Weghorst went up front. Yeah, so in the second half, he went up front. In this first half, he played in midfield. So in this sequence, Iheanacho drags Martinez toward. He then leaves Martinez on the ground. We don't see that too often. Martinez, we know, defends the half spaces of the channels quite well. But in this particular game, this one particular occasion, he struggled with Iheanacho. So obviously, especially without Casemiro, and especially when your centre-back gets dragged out of position, as a midfield player, you've now got a massive, massive task on your hands. You have to get back there and make an impact. You've got to do something. And Weghorst manages to get back, and he sort of glides in midair for a couple of seconds and manages to get the tackle on Iheanacho on the edge of the box. This is a player, as I said before, you wouldn't expect this type of thing from a so-called striker, a target man type striker. You wouldn't expect this type of tackle. You wouldn't expect this type of work rate. It wasn't just this occasion. This was the most important time he did it, because if Iheanacho, if you look at this picture, if you look, you might be able to see just on the right on the left-hand side. So if you look right next to me on that left-hand side, you'll see Harvey Barnes, you'll see Dallo, and then Barnes is just on the left-hand side of that picture. So if he doesn't make that tackle, you've also got, I think this is Maddison here behind Sabitzer. So you've got some pressure from Leicester, and Leicester's quality. At some point they were probably going to score a goal if they kept this pressure up. So having a player like Weghorst who can track that runner of Iheanacho, who isn't really his man, and still get that tackle in, is absolutely vital. It really, really is. So that was a massive, massive contribution from Weghorst, right? So that's the last time I'm going to speak of Weghorst. He should have his goal, and I'm sad he didn't, but he's contributing so much to the team at the moment with his pressing, his interceptions, his tackling, winning fouls. Even if he's not winning duels, competing in duels, making it difficult for the opposition to regain possession. His link-up play, his hold-up play, his awareness of dragging defenders with him to make space for others. There's countless positives. So he's been an excellent, excellent loan signing so far for me. I love these type of players. I just love these type of players that can come in, and he's given his all. He's contributing. He's not just a work rate merchant or someone who's just running around being aimless and not effective. He's being extremely, extremely effective for this team. Okay, so that's about Weghorst. That's also I also made a little point on Sancho. Obviously, his awareness of space. Bruno Fernandes's performance was, in terms of chance creation, was absolutely brilliant, by the way. Marcus Rashford, obviously, with his goals. De Gea made a key contribution. A couple of key contributions in the first half. As I said, Sabitzer showed a few nice touches under pressure as well. And now we're going to talk about Victor Lindelof. So Victor Lindelof started this game in place of Rafa Varane. So again, Erik ten Hag, brilliant management, brilliant rotation in this particular game. What does it do? It gives Varane a rest for the Barcelona game and the Newcastle game, but it also gives Victor Lindelof a massive chance to come in, perform, show what you're about, show you're a reliable backup. And he did that, particularly in the second half. I think in the first half, a few times, obviously, as I said, Iheanacho was causing problems. Leicester were causing problems because their players were dropping just in behind our midfield players, and our centre-backs were pushed, sort of had to come out, and Leicester were combining really, really nicely. But in the second half, I noticed a massive difference, not just from Lindelof, but from the whole team in terms of the rest defence. So rest defence is basically when you've got the ball, what is your structure at the back, right? So what is your structure? How are you setting up when you've got the ball? So you've got the ball, fantastic. You've got all these attacking players, but what about the defensive players? If you were to lose the ball, how is your defence? How are they resting? How are they sitting? Which positions are they in? How many players are there? What is their shape off the ball? And I think in the first half, we were getting bypassed too easily, particularly in midfield through the central areas. And Leicester were causing problems on the counter attack. We've seen, particularly, obviously, it's going to happen when Casemiro plays as well, but particularly without Casemiro in the Leeds game at home as well, a lot of transitions against us. And it's always going to happen in this system, in this style of play under Ten Hag. It's always going to happen. But I think we were being caused more problems than usual when Casemiro wasn't in the team there. But in the second half, we seem to improve our structure, our aggression. I think it improved a lot. And I think a big reason for that was Victor Lindelof. I think he showed quite a few times a much more aggressive nature in his defending. You know, we've seen quite a few times Lindelof be criticised for sort of his standoff approach, sit-off approach. You know, I'm not going to be too aggressive on you. I'm going to sit back. I'm not going to engage in a duel. But in this particular second half, I thought Victor Lindelof was really, really good. So here, Maddison looks to break out. Look at the positioning of Lindelof. So he's really, really aggressive. He engages in that duel. Yeah, so he engages in that duel and he eventually gets the tackle in on Maddison. And then the ball falls here. So the ball falls and it's going towards Vardy. But look at Lindelof's aggression again. He slide tackles. Is a massive, massive tackle. The whole stadium was erupting following that tackle. It was absolutely brilliant. And United regained possession. So that's obviously just a small element to look at. But I think Erik Ten Hag would have had a word with Lindelof at half-time. I don't think he would have been happy with Lindelof's defending. And I think generally Ten Hag will want Lindelof to be more aggressive out of possession. So I think that's something we can look out for in the future. Will Lindelof, because he does seem, Victor Lindelof, it does look like he is the second choice right centre-back, right? So we know sort of Harry Maguire, what's going to happen to him, left centre-back. Luke Shaw is actually our second choice. Or sometimes Luke Shaw's our first choice left centre-back, right? So in certain games, even when Martinez has been available, Ten Hag's chosen Luke Shaw. But we know Maguire is definitely number 4 or even 5 in the reckoning. So I think Lindelof definitely has a chance of staying under Ten Hag next season as a backup for Rafa Varane in that right centre-back, if he can be more aggressive with his defending, if he can be more secure in possession, improve the frequency and accuracy of his progressive passing. I think, yeah, certainly he could be an option. And I've always said, I think Lindelof and Maguire, I don't think they are good enough to start for Manchester United. And I'm glad we've got Martinez, we've got Shaw who can play there now, and Varane. And I think a centre-back, sort of a backup centre-back, is certainly something we can look into in the summer. But it'll be interesting to see whether Lindelof can continue this aggression out of possession, if this is something he's been working on, because I was really, really impressed with it in the second half. So yes, guys. So obviously Leicester, just a summary of the game. First half, obviously had more of the play, more chances, should have been 1 or 2 up. What changed? United, obviously we changed formation, sort of the setup of our formation in the second half. And I thought that really putting Weghorst back in the 9, putting Sancho in the 10, it gave us the appreciation of space from Sancho. Weghorst dragging markers away. Sancho really, really showing his combination play in tight spaces. There was one situation where Sancho and Wan-Bissaka had that nice little ole, and they were passing to each other, and then it started all the olays around Old Trafford. I haven't heard that a while from our fans. I've heard it from away fans when they were beating us. But yeah, Sancho and Bruno, when they do play together at 10 on the right-hand side, what is good is both of them can play in either position. So it just gives us that more sort of tactical rotation at any time during a game, whether it's by their own accord or by Ten Hag's accord. We can rotate those players around, which makes it more difficult for defenders to expect who they're picking up. So I think a big reason why in the second half we were better, I do think Jadon Sancho coming on the pitch, Rashford going back out to the left, I think Sancho coming into the number 10, and I think Bruno's chance creation for that right-hand side was really, really good. So yeah, I think that's a massive, massive reason why we won the game, coupled with I think our rest defense was better. We stopped transitions better. And I also just think that as a team, we were more aggressive. I just thought we had more confidence in the team. We had more aggression. But I do think at half time, again, Ten Hag tweaked it, and again, it paid off. So yes, guys, Another Ten Hag masterclass. We've obviously got the Barcelona game to come on Thursday. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be doing anything before that game. I will let you know, though. So do make sure you check out the community space, obviously, on YouTube, where I will make more posts telling you what videos are coming. So do make sure you keep an eye on that. And make sure you follow me on Twitter as well at ThreadmanChazza, because I sometimes post some updates on there. If you want to see the written version of this, please do go to ThreadmanChazza for the written thread of this game. It's just on Weghorst and Lindelof, this one. I had a busy day at work yesterday, so I couldn't cover the whole game. I would have loved to cover the whole game. Of course, it's very, very difficult, as I said there before, to cover every element in detail. I'd rather cover fewer elements in more detail than cover the whole game, and it's sort of scattered analysis and not proper. So I like to make it really, really detailed on a sort of particular focus or particular elements, and that's how I like to do things. So as always, I know this one was a little bit longer, but there was a lot to talk about. But as always, please do leave a like if you enjoyed. Please do subscribe if you're new as well. Thanks for all the support recently. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about this game. How did you find it? Who was your man of the match? Any thoughts about the Barcelona game? Please do get in the comments. And also, I am hoping to bring out a mega analysis of Ten Hag so far at Manchester United. I don't know what form it's going to be in. I think I might do a written version, and then I might do this sort of version, so a video version, but it might be quite a long one. It's going to be very, very detailed. And I'm going to try and incorporate everything that Ten Hag has done so far. It's obviously going to take a lot of my time, so it's not going to be out in the next week or so, I don't think, but I'm going to try and work on this in the next few weeks. Not just the actual pitch, on the pitch stuff, but the off the pitch stuff, the signings, the quotes in press conferences, the way his personality is, his handling of players, the training methods, the coaching. There's about 20 million things to talk about. So it's going to be a massive one. There's so many positives to talk about. So that's going to come hopefully at some point, guys. But as always, I appreciate all the support. Take care. And I will be back for that Barcelona game, hopefully with a reaction of something tactical. And then we're obviously onto the final on Sunday. So thanks a lot, guys. Busy week for Man United. Let's hope we get 2 wins. Thanks a lot for the support.